Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. If you've been wondering why you're dealing less damage than others, or if you feel like your damage is lacking, then this damage increasing guide is for you. So with that said, let's not waste any time and get right into it. So the first step to increasing your damage overall is via your blueprint stars. So on my account, as you can see, I have some weapons which have 6 stars, but for instance for the memento, I only have 2 stars on it. And you want to be using your blueprint stars correctly. And now in this game, weapons are separated into two kind of weapons. You have physical weapons, which use fast gunner, the bullseye, shrapnel, and fortress warfare as physical damage dealers, meaning all of their damage require on bullet damage. However, for other builds such as burn, unstable bomber, power surge, or frost vortex, they will rely on elemental damage. And so for your physical builds, what matters the most are going to be your weapon blueprint stars. So for the memento, it's a fast gunner weapon. So the weapon blueprint stars are what matters the most. However, for elemental oriented weapons, then what's going to matter the most are going to be your armor stars. And the reason for this is because your elemental build scale off of psi intensity, which is the third stat given by your armor. So if you take a look at my Lone Wolf helmet, you'll see that it gives 115 psi intensity. Now this is at 6 stars, so if we compare it to my Renegade armor, which is at 1 star, it only gives 92 psi intensity. So for elemental builds, you will want to increase all of your 6 armors to their max stars to benefit the most out of your elemental weapon. And the priority to the armor stars are going to be your mask, which at 1 star gives 115. Then it's going to be your helmet, which is 92 psi intensity. Then it'll be your pants at 74. Then it's going to be your gloves at 69. Then your top at 64. And lastly, your boots at 46. So this is the order that you'll want to focus for your armor stars. Now, of course, this is just in general for your hybrid builds such as the Jaws and something else. So for the Corrosion, both weapon and armor stars are going to matter. So if you want to deal more damage, then you'll want to increase the correct blueprint stars. Then with blueprints out of the way, it goes without saying that you will want to calibrate your gear. And the reason for this is because the more you calibrate your gear, the better they are. So for weapons, the more you calibrate them, the more you'll unlock the calibration slots, which are important stats given to your weapons, since you can replace the base stats with calibrations, which will offer better percentages and better core effects. But in general, as you calibrate from, for instance, here level 4 to 5, you will gain more bullet damage. Now for physical builds, calibrating your armor isn't that important to your damage since it'll only increase your survivability. However, for elemental builds, it's going to be very important because as you can see, I currently have a 0 out of 6 armor calibration on my Renegade gloves, and as I level up its calibration, you'll see that the psi intensity is increasing. Now before I move on to the next tip, I just want to say really quickly that if you wish to see more Once Human guides from me, then make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell for notifications. The next way to increase your damage is by using better ammo. The better ammo types are unlocked in your crafting mimetics, so in the crafting section, and with this line right here is where you'll unlock all of the different ammunition kinds. Of course, the better ammo is unlocked at the bottom, but for each kind of ammo tier, so for tungsten, you'll have AP ammo and you also have normal ammo. And here, obviously, AP ammo will be better since it just simply costs more and it'll give you, as a consequence, better percentages. Now to craft tungsten ammo, you'll need an advanced supplies bench right here. So I currently have 2. So to craft them, you just open your bench and then you go to your tungsten AP ammo. Now by default, it'll be set to gunpowder as second resource used. But if you want to craft the gold ammo, which is the baseline for the best kind of ammo, then you want to replace this resource by other resources. So for instance, if you are a fast gunner user or a fortress warfare weapon user, you will want to use platinum crystal to craft your ammo because it is tailored towards fast gunner and fortress warfare weapons. However, say if you're using a burn or frost vortex weapon, you'll want to craft your ammo with stardust source. So if you want to deal more damage, then use the kind of ammo that fits your weapon's keyword. The next way to increase your damage is by using the correct mods, which I, show in my build guide, so I don't want to focus on that. Right now, what I want to focus on is a specific substat line, which is called the damage against normal, elites, or great ones. This is the most important substat line if you want to deal more damage. And enemies in this game are separated into these three kind of enemies. So you've got normal enemies, which the dummy, by the way, counts, which is why during the dummy damage showcase, I put the amount of damage against normal enemies that I have. And what you'll want to do is you'll want to make multiple different presets. So here, for instance, I have one for elite enemies and I have one for great ones. And for your great ones or elites preset, you want to fully focus on that kind of enemy. So if we take a look at my mods for my great ones preset, you'll see that all of them will have damage against great ones. As a bonus tip, in any silo, if in the boss zone or area there is a big HP bar, that means that that enemy is a great one. However, if they're in a boss area but do not spawn a massive HP bar on your screen, then in that case, that enemy is an elite mob. The last way to increase your damage significantly is by using food buffs. So food buffs will increase your damage by various means. So for instance, with mixed fried hot dog, it's used to increase damage by 20% towards enemies affected by the bullseye effect. And then for instance, surprise spring roll is used to increase elemental damage by 5 to 15%. The effect doubles if HP is below 40%. So food buffs will by default increase your damage. Now I usually cover this in my build guides on which food buff to use. So here I want to focus on how to make them even stronger. And the first way is by using the chef dino. Now what does it do? If we read the description, it says increases your cooking proficiency. The higher the deviant energy level, so the skill rating level, the greater the proficiency increase, which pretty much just means that the higher the skill rating level, the more percentages the dino will add to your food buff. So of course level 5 is what you should focus on. Now to make it actually work, you're gonna have to have the dino out in your territory, then cook the buff that you want to make. Otherwise, if the dino is resting in its isolated securement unit, its extra bonuses will not apply to your food buff. So do be careful of that. Now the next way to make your food buffs even stronger is with mimetic specializations. More specifically, these two. So the Ice Treat Brain Freeze, which is Ice Treat effect duration plus 200%, and Potency plus 30%, which pretty just means that it'll make the buff stronger. And the second important mimetic is going to be Shell Break, which makes it so that Stardust dishes will provide two special whim effects. So for instance, if you craft, let's say, the mixed fried hot dog, this will give the Shell Break effect. And if I just randomly eat one with the shell break effect, you'll see that in my whims, I have passing gas, which is every 30 seconds, the next roll leaves behind poison mist that creates vulnerability plus 20% for surrounding units, which increases your damage. And for destroyer, its damage to deviants increased by 30%. Though it does reduce your damage to humanoid enemies. Then for Ice to Treat, it'll increase the buff given by anything that is crafted with ice, which is very important for the whimsical drink, which increases your status damage bonus by 25% by default. And now let's take a look at the comparison between using these tips that I've just given and not using these tips. And as you can see, the clear time and damage difference are pretty significant. With everything said, if you have some extra tips that I don't mention in this video, then feel free to type it down in the comments. If you have any questions or requests for future guides, let me know in the comments as well. This is Mon, peace out.